All right, folks, welcome back to the Corsair Cup. We got another best of 3 ready for you all. Spawning here in the upper right side of the map. In the lobby, he claims he's going to take revenge on behalf of SOS. It's the red Protoss player, Monty.
In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is Nerchio.
Now, for those who don't know what that's in reference to, you missed out on a really big, quite awesome tournament this weekend, and Nerchio ended up kicking a lot of ass in the finals of Nation Wars. Kind of slinging the team on his back, so to speak.
Nerchio did pretty well. Although, like, man, that's, you said you didn't watch the games. Like,
I didn't watch much. I saw most of the finals.
Okay, but did you see the game number 9?
That weird one with the laser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually a super fun game.
I was in Nate's chat while he was watching it, and we were all talking about the game over there. Because, you know, Nation Wars chat is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's amazing. But yeah, I was, I mean, it was so late, we were all really tired, but by the time Game 7 rolled around, I was just like, let's just go to Game 9. Like, we've already waited this long.
It should just happen.
Give the fans what they want. And it did, and it was actually very exciting, even though, I mean, like, I think everyone was arguing about what the result would be after, like, the 3 or 4 minutes, because it was still really close, and you're like, holy shit, like, is this gonna work? And even the Koreans were initially laughing, and then they were serious, and they were laughing, and then they were like, oh, wait.
That's fun. Wait, oh my god, that worked.
Yeah, it was. It was actually a roller coaster. It was the most I've seen Zest, I think, emote.
Well, anyways, so yeah, SOS did get killed by Nerchio in those finals, and that's why Monty's looking to take vengeance on behalf of his Protoss brother.
SOS didn't do very much, just got flown out.
SOS flew out, won 0 games, got $5,000 something. Feels great, man. Now, Nerchio did something a little bit funky here, I want to point out. This is not at all something new to Nerchio. In fact, this is something we'd see him consistently do blindly versus Protoss, where he would just skip to his third because he didn't want to waste time with the pylon and the natural and that whole can of worms. So it looks a little bit awkward at first, but he's still droning and he's still playing this out, so I think he's still going to take that third. This isn't going to be the weirdest 2-base split all in the whole time.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. Oh, it's like, well, it's thunderstorming where I live, so I guess I disconnect. You know why. But
okay.
It's funny because in Overgrowth, we had talked about this exact same thing in Nation Wars, and this is versus Zest. And I forgot to mention that there's also a possibility that you force them to scout incorrectly, shall we say. Because usually if you scout the natural, and if there's no drones in the natural, or the third base rather, after you scout the natural has drones, then you're like, wait a minute, something's up. But Nerchio just made a ton of lings and just killed a third base, and that is a possibility because, well, Monty scouts this base. There's a lot of drones. Don't have to, you know, scout the natural, which is actually the third, and he misses all the lings.
Okay, so this is what I was going to say really quick. This isn't going to be your typical Protoss you're playing against. Because if you guys don't know, Monty and Goblin and Nomi and such, these are the guys who have, in the past, before it even became part of the meta, they were going like 3 oracles, 4 oracles, like going really disgusting builds like that, but looks like he's going to stick on the 1 Stargate for now, instead of throwing down 3 gateways in the Twilight Council. Or 2 gateways, excuse me, in the Twilight Council.
It's actually a pretty standard build. It's the safer builds to play as well. Safer base, whatever. And he probably will be taking a third base, which is why I was thinking of it. And Nerchio throws down a Baneling Nest, an Evolution Chamber. I don't actually think he needs a Baneling Nest, but he has not scouted anything. And this is kind of unique to Nerchio. If Nerchio does get Pneumatized Carapace, it's later and for drops. He's never the type of guy that is very insistent upon scouting. Like True got it the first game in the last series, and it's because he really wanted to scout. Well, Nerchio doesn't care so much. He just plays a relatively safe game and tells what the build is via other things. In this case, it was an Oracle.
The cheeky little smile upon deflecting the Oracle. I like that. That's that personality in StarCraft I wish there was more of. But who is this? We just had Squeetus. Squeetus hit us up with a 7-month resub. Says, StarCraft. Thanks for all your hard work in the scene. Thank you for your hard work supporting our hard work in the scene.
Well, there's that third base. You have Resident Enclaves on the way, as opposed to a Fungal Blade Blink and a Robo or something like that. So this could have been a surprise to Nerchio. If Monty gets like another warp in and goes right across the map. Maybe he doesn't have anything. Maybe he's just building drones. Because he's only at 46 right now. But he's actually building a lot of lings. He's going for drop overlords with that speed I was talking about, and he's gonna get aggressive. Even if Monty did take the safer expand after Stargate, it's still a third base that is kind of vulnerable, and not a lot of units on the field from Monty.
Well, for Nerchio, we'll see if this is crazy enough to work. Thank you for the 11-month resub. It's gonna sew that right into the cast. But I like this because if it is, for example, a lot of adepts, let's forget for a second that this is Queens, and let's assume it's even something like Banelings. Nothing shoots up in this army, so getting them on top of that, it's going to be pretty nice. But of course, the Queens, they bring a lot of extra value, and those Banelings are now being morphed in. Were they over here?
It would not be a good idea for these adepts to transfer, I don't think. Unfortunately, they just used their shades, so shading out of the Banelings. Might still...
I like that he's actually going to trace this. The Lings would eventually deal with it, but the Banelings would guarantee that they just get the hits. Unfortunately, though, Nerchio was feeling confident enough to go back to mining, and as we can see, it's costing him quite a few workers. The Adept's finally going to go down. Looks like Drops over here still trying to go off with these Queens. It's a little bit trolly almost when you look at it. But that's several transfuses, so a little bit of damage.
This is actually, so far, a nice game by Monty. He killed a lot of drones. He gets a large portion of the army back, and his Queens... They're actually okay by themselves because they just are really beefy and they have transfuses, but they're not going to be killing buildings by themselves anytime soon.
No, it's a good force field though to keep the Lings from getting that surround. The Queen's going to be dropped right to the mineral lines. I mean, there's still quite a few transfuses on these. They also pick up the Oracle in the process. One Queen going to go down. Didn't need to, but unfortunately does die. Banelings clean up the Adepts on the backside. Well, Monty may have had a great opening in terms of knocking Nerchio's worker count down. Nerchio's made no effort to replace this because he's just looking to end the game by flooding Lings across the map. The Immortal pops out, but it's going to get surrounded immediately. Queen's still going ham in that mineral line, and this game is looking pretty grim for Monty.
Yeah, Monty wasn't warping in. It was really weird. He could have easily had 2, maybe even 3 more warpings at this point.
Void Ray pushed back by the Queens. Oh, so solemn and gross.
Yeah. I think he could have had a better hold, or at least he would have traded more. Maybe he still loses the third base, but then Nerchio doesn't have enough to attack into the natural, let's say. But instead, Monty doesn't have an army at all. Slow warp-ins as well. It's very awkward, and I guess he still has a wall with cannon, so Nerchio can't break it quite yet. But he doesn't have to waste his army on that. He can go back into droning and just have an army if Monty tried to counter, which he cannot do now, only on 3 gateways. And there's definitely some macro mistakes for Monty. Either he should have warped in at least one more time than he already did, because he was banking a lot of minerals, or he could have gotten his gateways much faster.
I still don't know how much that. I don't know how much that would versus wouldn't have helped though. I mean, Nerchio's attack with these Queens is really odd. Certainly, there's no way you can blindly counter that. Maybe having Zealots, but that's super unconventional, weird.
I think Zealots still would have helped. I mean, he was in the mineral line. I just think his 3 Adepts dead, 3 Adepts dead, 3 Adepts dead. Where it might have been 6 Adepts.
Oh, I see. You mean consolidate his forces?
Yeah, he just really was letting them die, and then he waited a very long time to warp in. I mean, these mistakes happen when you're in the middle of a fight, right? And if he didn't have the warp gates on cooldown, which I think he did, but I'm not 100% sure, then you at least start building gateways. But he just was banking minerals, and it happens. I mean, that's the whole thing about an all-in, is that not only is it really powerful in itself, its army is big and huge, it also starts to mess up your opponent's macro. So it just sucks that happens. He might have had a better hold, because I think he was in an okay position, but now he has obviously lost out on a lot of economy, lost out on an army. His didn't have any threat of a counterattack without a warp prism or an oracle, and Nerchio's now on a gold base with 60 drones.
And not to mention just a heck ton of creep and Queens and just army supply in general. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Monty's idea for an army. I think Archons are pretty sweet. Pair them up with a lot of Adepts, that won't go too badly. But Nerchio's just got numbers on his side, and whether it was all this supply in Lings or Roaches or whatever, GG's get called. And Nerchio overwhelmingly takes that first game.
Oh. Yep. Well, Monty didn't look totally just, out of his elements. I mean, up until the third base actually went down, he had killed a lot of drones. He was on 45 himself, and if he just traded a little bit better, it would have gone okay, but we'll see what happens in the next game, as it is going to be his map choice.
Yeah. I was going to mention, by the way, because I saw Tom KD try and link our mega fundraiser. Again, the bot's down, and it's still not connecting to the new server yet. But I was going to mention that now that finally Nation Wars is done, and as No Regret and Scarlet get back to Korea, we can start talking to them about organizing the cooking stream from Scarlet, but also getting video content to put out a proper video and do like an actual official launch of the fundraiser instead of this like half-ass one we've had out there because, well, we just wanted to get something out there. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that quite a bit, actually. So I don't like unfinished things. Thank you, JD Toss, for the 24-month resubs. It's 2 years of spamming Ace Kates. Totally worth it.
I think you like unfinished pizza because then you put it in the fridge.
So that's 50-50 though, because if you're talking about like, oh, you ate half of the pizza and you put the other half in the fridge, I agree, but I don't think that's unfinished. That's just simply pizza you haven't started yet. Whereas like if you ate like half of a slice of pizza and put it in the fridge, I wouldn't eat the rest of that.
Really? If a family member did that, I don't think I'd care.
Half of
random stranger did it to me.
It's got like 4 bites in it, and like none of the bites are like consistent in size. So it's like 4 different mouths on that slice of pizza. No, I'm not finishing that. That stays unfinished.
All right.
It's like when everyone wants to share a drink. It's like, oh, taste this is so good. And it's like, oh no, that's great. I know I would definitely love to be the 5th mouth in that bottle. Let me get sick real quick. I'll just take a big gulp.
I've definitely done that.
Yeah. I used to have no problem with that, honestly, but then I started getting sick at conventions and stuff, sharing drinks with people, so I've kind of made a self-policy not to.
But it's hard to say exactly what caused you to get sick at conventions, though, because I would never say that was it. I would always say, like, touching the elevator buttons or whatever.
So, first off, yes, it's true. Well, you can't have echo. It's not in the map pool. No, it's not.
Well, either way, the map did its thing again, where I definitely picked fucking Echo.
Well, Echo's not in the map pool, though, so they can't pick Echo.
Yeah.
Let me paste this in chat real quick. But I was going to say, okay, there's the argument that maybe it's more touching doorknobs and not hand sanitizing your hands or whatever. But I can say very consistently and definitively, I have not gotten sick since I stopped sharing drinks. So whether that is the case or a coincidence, it's safer policy for me, because I really hated coming back from events and just having like your lungs feel like you're constantly drowning while you're trying to talk. And
if I get sick, and I did get sick the last 2 times I went to Paris, so I don't usually, but this was like one after another and it sucked. I usually blame the airplane, because there's always one person sick in the airplane, or like
the airplane's pretty bad.
It's after hours of being like not caring and not like catching your hands while you go to the escalator and stuff like that.
So that's the thing I've learned. Again, I don't know what's the worst or the most, and I'm not trying to claim anything because someone's gonna try and like nitpick this, but I've heard that the tray is actually the most germ-ridden thing, like the tray on your seat in front of you, because they never really wipe those down. So,
oh my god, and like I've heard people say like occasionally people will change their baby's diapers on it.
Okay, I've not heard about that, but that's messed up.
That's so gross.
I was gonna say though, I've regularly started wiping those down. It hasn't been an issue for me either. But thank you, Prognosticator, 2 months, dude. How are you awake at like super late hours and you're awake for the Corsair Cup? What's up, man? He says 1 is fun, but twice as nice, and 3, yippee, is what I'll look forward to. Either way, thank you very much. He's also the top pinned cheer. I love that they added this option, by the way, because I can look at that stupid rainbow Kriegasm anytime I want now, instead of just hoping somebody's feeling like throwing $100 our way. Like, I love that rainbow Kriegasm. I don't know what it is. It's like my favorite thing.
Rainbows. All right, now we're in the right map.
Newkirk Precincts. All right, so we are still only in round 2, by the way, because we kind of backtracked to cast this match. I thought that'd be a pretty fun one. Neeb waits for possibly Cham. Bly, actually, a lot of people have advanced to round 3, and they're just waiting for opponents at this point.
Yeah, it's everyone is waiting for their opponent.
But that also means that the brackets are moving along pretty smoothly, which is a good thing, because we don't have one person who's like in the middle of nowhere waiting for their opponent. Regardless, though, guys, it's game number 2 for the Corsair Cup. Welcome back to the cast, and spawning here in the bottom right, we've got the green Protoss Monty.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, it is Nerchio.
Now I do want to mention, by the way, because we had talked about maps a moment ago and Echo not being in the pool, etc. We started trying to phase these out, and I was really hoping to have had this go a bit smoother, but a lot of the maps coming for next season actually are still not available on the BattleNet in any official capacity. So the idea was like by today and tomorrow we would have had like a full list of like brand new maps we could have forced the players to play on in anticipation of next season's ladder pool. However, we were only able to swap out a couple. So Echo went away, and I think Habitation was what we took out to replace with Belshire and the others. So we are going to be keeping the map pools pretty much in sync with the ladder, and we're not looking to constantly swap them around and make them strange. But this was an exception because we are approaching these are the last 2 days or so of the current map pool.
Yeah. I'm excited to play on Cactus, though. Not excited to play on Belshire.
Well, it was kind of funny. I was casting with Rapid Casting, as you know where you're going, and he had actually never seen Cactus Valley before. So A, he didn't know about the map, but then B, he didn't know about the intro for the map. So he
Interesting.
he only has one monitor. I had to tell him about 2.5 minutes in the game. All right, tab out. Watch chat real quick.
Yeah. He's been around, but I guess he just wasn't around for that phase. Because it was end of Heart of the Swarm, beginning when Liberty, beginning of Blaze of the Void.
It also could just simply be, like, for those who don't know, Rapid Casting, fun guy, nice guy, all this good stuff. But he also does multiple games, right? Like League of Legends and Counter-Strike, and just not always having been focused on StarCraft. It's totally possible that for that season, he just never cast anything with that map. He never played anything with that map. But yeah, that was actually a really fun cast. There were some good memes. Some good memes came out of that cast.
Yeah. It would just be coincidental, because then I've talked to him about, like, super old maps, you know, from, like, Season 5 or something, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, that one, and I'll be like, I always forget that he's actually been ingrained. So it'd be coincidental, but funny, as Cactus Valley was one of our most famous app intros.
Catalina taking #1. A lot of people are saying we need to do Under the Sea for the Bizzle Reef one, but unfortunately, that is not going to be copyright clear. There's like no way that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think again like a musical version or something like of it would be enough to throw off YouTube's.
Just got to use Rifkin's bad voice that's never in pitch so that YouTube can't detect it. The seaweed is always greener.
You did Frozen an hour.
That worked like air quotes worked, but anyways.
Oh wait, no, it wasn't.
It's MC.
It was MC. That's right. I do remember. I thought legitimately that it was you the first time I heard it.
A lot of people did.
Kind of more of the English, you know, and then I was like, oh. Okay.
I would be amazing. Maybe I will sing the new one. That's how we'll get around it. You and I can duet the thing. I'll be Sebastian. You can be Ariel. Look at this thing. Isn't it neat?
Yeah, I don't think they have a duet in Under the Sea.
We can make it a duet, okay? Let's duet in ways that make us feel good. Let's do it. Have you never seen Walk Hard?
No.
Okay, first up, you need to watch Walk Hard, because that movie is so stupid and so good. But yeah, they got some good songs in that one. Actually, what blew me away was like when you have movies like, or people in movies like John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell and stuff, and they ever end up singing, you never expect it to be good, but then you're like, wow, they're actually pretty good at singing. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it's so easy to forget that, like, a long time ago, if you're going to be an actor, you were also a singer, right?
Yeah, I mean.
So I think a lot of people are trained in singing, even if they're not singers.
Maybe.
I always forget.
Nowadays, though, we got auto-tune, right? It's like the Photoshop of voices.
But like, I'm trying to think of people who actually were forced to sing in a movie that didn't actually sound at least okay.
Well,
like they're definitely trained.
Two really big things just happened. One is that Monty let Nerchio into the base to scout the fact that he had 2 gone for double Stargates. Now, again, I said that this is a guy willing to go mass Oracle, but I'm wondering if this will be for Phoenix or Void Rays because of the timing, and it looks like Phoenixes are going to be the choice. The Adepts get across the map, and that was quite a few Adepts. This could have potentially done a lot of damage, but as we can see, it's only traded out with Lings for now.
Now, Nerchio did make a lot of army, more so than he really, I guess, maybe needed to deal with the Adepts, but they certainly are all over the place, cleaning it up no matter where the Adepts went to, so... cleaned up, and he could try and make sure the third base never goes down. He already knows that it's not, though, because the Overlord's there, but he's going to really ensure that the probe can't even get to the location.
That's still damage, though, indirectly. Like, that's a lot of drones he wasn't making because he had made several extra roaches and many extra links. But Nerchio's not letting up. He's content with the 46 he has. He's continuing to make a lot of army. Now throwing a couple drones in, but Void Rays and Phoenixes actually should be able to hold this. The Phoenixes can lift up the Ravagers if Nerchio makes any. The Void Rays can shred them all to bits.
Monty has eventually, I think, a perfect combination of units, but it's not enough to definitively take a third base, and it's only barely enough, I think, to hold on to his natural for very long. Nerchio is going to attempt to bust it. He's only on 49 drones, but the Void Rays come out, and I think he knows it's not going to happen.
So this was actually a pretty good defense. I like that panicked gateway he put down, too, to wall that off even further. Really good moves out of Monty. But that being said, mass error is not necessarily the greatest thing to do. Players like Nerchio, very quick, throw down those Hydra Dens. He'll make extra queens if he was really feeling like he was in a pinch. I don't think this... What's unfortunate for Monty is normally if you're going air like this, the reason Nerchio's not attacking you is because you're usually harassing, and he's so busy within his own mineral lines defending. But this is not going to be the situation where the Hydra spawn and the Phoenix is already picking them up. There's barely any Phoenix on the map right now.
Yeah, having the change over to Void Rays definitely took up a lot of time, plus having to actually get the third base down and ready to go. He's going to get a Fleet Beacon, and he is upgrading his air as well. And it looks like his third base will successfully complete, and he'll probably send his probes over there. But Nerchio's also finally gotten up to 63 drones, and the fourth base himself will eventually have a very good army. It's a question, though, of time. You know, if Monty does get to carriers, I suppose, then maybe Nerchio's hit with Queen Hydra will be a little bit too late. So
that actually
work. It's dangerous.
That definitely needs to be discussed because while there are some players who have their very obvious tilt moments in the game, you know, folks like Scarlet hitting at depths and several others with their own units, Nerchio has had several salty and sour tweets about carriers.
A lot of people have. I just feel like it hasn't been a month and a half ago, it was like every Protoss was trying to do it, especially if they got the maps to do it on, right? And it was like, wow, this is actually kind of abusive, like it looks great. And then I feel like I haven't seen it in a while. Not effectively anyways. So I'm always so surprised when Zergs are complaining like it is the most thing in the world.
You know what though, I'm now realizing Monty really wanted Echo. And Echo is the map that you do that on. So I guess Newkirk being the second best kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's also good on Bonnie. Oh, anyway.
Exidolp. Oh, fuck me. I can't read that.
Exidolp.
Thank you for the 2-month Twitch Prime resub. Says, one question. Does sub money go to the team house as well? No. Zombie Rob and I still need to make money somehow, some way, guys. So things like bits and subscriber money. I would say ad revenue, but if we're going to be honest, ad revenue is seriously non-existent right now. I'm not even exaggerating. So that's money we're using to keep ourselves alive. Buy food, pay for rent and internet, etc. We've only really turned over donations because it was the only thing we could really afford to do that would also help compensate for the lack of credit card acceptance on Matcherino.
Right, yeah. I mean, if we did, you know, ad revenue went to it.
We would see $12 in that fundraiser right now is what we would see. Like, and I want to make this clear. You guys have probably heard us discuss, oh, please watch our commercials and other things before, but we've never been nearly as whiny as we have been this month because it is so heartbreaking to put 4 or 5 hours of a show on, play several ads, and get $7. Not each. $7 for that day's work. So
$3.50 will buy me 2 packs of gum.
So the thing is, like, it will get better as the months go on and holidays come up and advertisers start buying ad spots again. But right now, it's just not there. So it really hurts.
Well, Valentine's Day ad revenue is going to be great. I can buy myself chocolates this year. I'm just kidding. My mom always buys me chocolates. Anyway.
Got a real bad case of the lonelies going on, I see.
What? So I don't even like chocolate though. So.
Do you ever buy your cats treats on special occasions? Like Apollo, it's your birthday. Here's some Meow
Christmas. No, the only cat I've ever really done anything on their birthday was because my old cat Simba, I had like 15 years ago. He was born the same day I was.
You were gonna say because I had 15 cats. I genuinely thought that's the direction that was headed. But okay, so let's hang on. Let's talk about the game real quick because this is starting to spice up quite a bit. A lot of the Phoenix just got picked off. This is huge. That's the same way like Adepts and Stalkers are kind of buffer for the Colossus. The Phoenix are in a smaller way like a buffer for the Carriers. There's still no Mothership out just yet, and I like the Adepts on the ground. I'll talk more on that in a moment, but we do have an admirable carrier count, plus a lot of very turtle-in cannons. Nerchio breaking this third is going to be a very difficult thing for him to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this was the point which I was talking about, right? It's kind of like a timer. It's almost as bad as the Ultralisk Chitinous plating timer was. If you catch them when they have 1 or 2 carriers and a lot of cannons, that's still doable. If you catch them with a lot of cannons, or a lot of carriers rather, but no cannons, that's still kind of doable. But when they have like 4+ carriers and a lot of cannons, even if you have like upgraded Hydras and Vipers, it still is, I think, very difficult to break. And he's at 5 carriers right now.
So this
with,
is
Storm on the way.
This is really critical with the Banlings, by the way. I want to point out he just focus fired down the Banlings with the carriers. This is so important because it's not the carriers that are going to beat the Hydra senseless. It's the Adepts underneath this. The Banlings are meant to take out the Adepts and make this fight a lot easier, but now the carriers combined with the Adepts is a little too much, and Nerchio loses so much of his army.
Right. This is, I think it was a point of no return. Like, you're going to have to wait for them to move out to take a 4th base and have to replant all of their cannons again, and then maybe you can do it. But it gets harder and harder because, well, if you wait that long, then they have Storm. So even if you take out the Adept of the Banelings, somehow they get past all the Storms. There's still a lot more Storms after that take care of the Hydras, and it's just... There is a point, I think, where the carrier Storm is actually just unbeatable. Carriers themselves, maybe there's something to beat, but carrier Storm, I'm not sure think so.
So right now, that's how it feels. But I do want to point out some other things. Like, I'm not going to pretend like Protoss isn't strong in this aspect, okay? This is where they rock and roll. This is their groove. However, back in the day in Haas, you had some mech builds that looked unbeatable once they started getting away with it, right? Like, you could kill them if they got there beforehand, but then you had people like Hyun kind of innovate, do like this Nidus where Mass Infester, 500 infested Terran hit squad type thing. And I'm wondering at what point, like, something like that may get discovered for this matchup. Like, we look at it, and at a glance, it's bad. But we've also discussed things like, ooh, fungal growths actually stop the interceptors from attacking. Is that enough? Like, maybe parasitic bombs properly comboed. I don't know. There's I'm sure, a solution out there, but it's not simply as easy as knowing what to do, because you also have to execute it well as well.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the only period in time where late game Protoss looks very, very good. So there's been like a year where Zergs have had to figure it out, but there's been waves of how quickly the carriers come out and how easily the maps let you get to that point. That's why I guess we have waves of Twitter rants.
He's overextending a little bit there, which is a bit concerning. Monty had left several carriers at home expecting a secondary attack, but that makes me wonder why he opted to push with this one instead. Interceptors are all that really died through this, and there was a couple of good Storms to trade out, but the resources lost, as we can see, very much heavily favoring Monty right now.
You might be bringing up, you know, why is he going for Corruptors? Like, where's the Spire? But unfortunately, Storms and Archons still help against Corruptors, and after a certain number of carriers, you should probably just start going into borders anyway.
It's okay. David Kim said it's balanced. Well, Monty got at least a little bit of vengeance for SOS, but that's hardly the series being done. We're going to go to commercial break while we get Game 3 set up. It'll be Nerchio's pick, and we'll see you guys soon. Alright, folks, we're back, and welcome. And again, the reason my camera's so messed up is because I just don't know what I'm doing with it. It's like sitting in the corner of my monitor, and I can't win. Can't win. But anyways, lots of salt in chat. I see some PJ salts coming down too. There's carrier memes. Sir Yeez. Yeah, carriers are interesting, I guess. But the thing is, every time we see carriers, it kind of reminds me of most air battles actually in a lot of these games, where rarely is it that it's the air that's winning the game. It's more like the air is just the best cover for the units that are meant to counter the air, and those win the game. So like Adepts on the ground and things are really what ends up shining through in most cases, but it is certainly a little bit frustrating because at a glance at this first idea of things, I, even with crazy riff logic theory crafting, don't have a great answer for like, what do you do to beat those carriers?
Yeah. I don't really have one either, and we can go into a lot of different scenarios and situations, but that's the thing. There's also a lot of different ways to get to mass carriers or mass late game PvZ. But anyways, real quick, thank you to one of our new subs too, Iberland donated me personally $10.
Nice.
And, did some nice things, so thank you very much.
I was just gonna mention, by the way, speaking of all these things, like, I do want to point out, well, Hydras and Queens and Spore Crawler lines and Abducts, like, we've seen ways for people to deal with this stuff. That being said, we still haven't seen anyone bring in things like Swarm Host play, mass amounts of Infestors. I really, truly don't know if that's even the option or the direction to go, but it would be cool to see somebody try. That being said, let's hop into the game, shall we? Top left side, score's tied up now 1-1. This was his map pick. It's the red Zerg Nerchio.
In the top right is the green Protoss. He is Monty.
I wonder, by the way, like, there's Nerchio salt, by the way. I don't even think that's, like, rage-inducing salt. That's just, like, salt for the sake of salt at this point. But I do wonder how much of an ego plays into this for players like Nerchio. You know, here he is. He can beat some of the best Terran Koreans in the world in the Nation Wars finals. He can make Innovation look like his bitch. But then he can't beat, like, some Masters level Protoss out in Europe who goes carry. Like, I do wonder, like, how much of the ego gets factored into the tilt on that.
It's
like,
probably player by player, right?
Absolutely. But I'm just gonna say, speaking personally, right? If I'm playing mech, I'm having a good game, I do something that I feel is great, and then something really dumb is beating it, I will stop thinking logically. I will stop taking cost-effective engagements, and I'm just kind of like, Vipers are so cool. Whatever, I was gonna make 40 Vikings. There's a wrong unit to make right now, but whatever, because fuck Vipers. Like,
yeah. I definitely think there are some people who realize that even if it really is a balance issue, that the best thing they can do is just get over it, kind of, you know?
Yeah, keep a calm mind.
Yeah, keep a calm mind and all that. So I think that I also think there's definitely, like, I think you have to realize that on ladder you're going to lose games to people that are worse than you. That it's just going to happen. They're going to have weird builds. You're not going to be used to their play styles, and I don't think that would really affect them that much. So, as I said, I think I agree. Like, Nerchio in the past has been less funny, more BM. Now he's more funny BM, and I think that was just salt for the sake of salt.
It's almost like he moved into a position of politics, so he kind of had to clean up his act a bit.
Yeah, kind of. It's for me, like, it really is a growing up process. You know, you have those people that are just dicks, right, in like middle school or high school, but when you meet them 10 years later, they're actually funny, but also with like an edge, and you're like, you're yeah, okay. It's a growing up process when you learn to control, you know, make your words actually sound funny as opposed to just mean.
Well, as things start ramping up, thank you very much to FinnZC2 for the new sub. Glad to have you on board. Same with Chewed 'em Up. I like that. Chewed 'em Up. Chewed 'em Up just up brand new with ECSM following for 2 years. WTF time flies. Slimers as well, just up for 2 months. As Rifkin is my waifu with a smiley face. Well, for the low cost of $19.99 over 4 monthly installments, you can afford a waifu body pillow with Rifkin front and back on it.
Oh, I was doing the math and I was like, oh, that's 4 months of subs.
Oh, I was just trying to pick a random number. So.
Well, good job. $20, yeah, whatever. All right, so we don't have the attempt to go carriers in this game. Whirlwind would be quite difficult to do that on, and it is going to be the Dark Shrine build, which is something that Nerchio would most of the time even anticipate automatically without even scouting at all. But he did scout Twilight Council, which
Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
I think you mean Dank Shrine.
What are you doing?
Whiteboarding in. Never mind, wasn't worth it. Okay. Overlord of the Main unloads several links. There's actually no pylons up here, which is a little bit alarming, and I think that's why Monty is so closely chasing with the mothership core. Every shot it fires matters that much more when there's nothing to overcharge and defend with.
This Overlord just being used to scout. There it goes. Now it throws down those links.
He was really trying to get away from the overcharge by the looks of it. So kills the Adept. He'll get a couple of probes, but truthfully, not much more than that. Nerchio just picks up those lings, and I guess he might head over to the natural. And I don't know if he saw the Dark Shrine yet. He will now. There you go.
4 lings can't do very much, but sometimes they can snipe a probe. And they do scout everything they need to scout. Nerchio had already, I think, had defenses up. He had, oh no, not really. Well, he has a lair, so technically that's really having your defenses up. As long as you have detection at any amount of units whatsoever, DT should not snowball.
Well, it's not going to go straight in with the DTs. No real damage to them, just straight to the Archons.
Yeah. I mean, he was so third.
I mean, I know that it's got to get seen, but it's like we've seen so many players like Zest and others still brute force their way in and get so many kills, but the Archons have a bit of splash, so the drones get pulled immediately. Nerchio not going to take any risks with this. The War Prism's got more than enough range to keep these alive. Emphasis on killing the Overseer is interesting. I wonder if he wants to throw in some more DTs.
Maybe?
Oh, meanwhile, this gets very annoying.
Notice, yeah, it's an annoying game. It's an annoying game for Monty. Like, he doesn't actually have that much control because it's not just him dropping. So, he has to be paying attention to his home as well. I just went on the way.
Oh, bad.
Yeah.
Sure. Now the Zarkons are stranded, and that's probably the worst fate for them. They'll get some kills on their way out. They're big enough units to trade out like that, but as you can see, hardly worth it. Like 2 queens and maybe a roach. Not even.
But Nerchio still doesn't have that big of an army, so Monty could probably get his third base down. Unfortunately, creep spread is there, so it's going to be a bit later than he would want it, and Nerchio is now going to have his own time to get 70 drones and a 4th base. And then a humongous army that Monty would have trouble dealing with. Certainly Whirlwind has a problem where there's either the little well between your natural and third, which can be hard to defend, but then also the other ramp on your third that you have to be careful to scout for.
Nerchio once again with these drop tactics. This time roaches instead of lings heading towards the main as we speak. This is kind of a cute move. I guess all things considered, Monty's greatest weakness right now is some mobility. Like, Immortals aren't going to be able to bounce between the 2 bases very easily.
4 roach drop.
Oh, who's that? New sub. My Amarath 336. Thank you for the new sub. Yeah, the 4 roaches are actually going to pick off quite a few probes. I expect this to be responded to much quicker. So unfortunately, like 8 workers go down to this, and Nerchio can disengage. That's not going to though. Meanwhile, more overlords flying, roaches scattering, and this push out of Monty's a little bit scary, but shouldn't.
It's a little bit too late though.
Yeah. This Hydra's already set up. Even a spine crawler good to go.
If he had pushed in 10 seconds sooner, 15 seconds sooner, like he might catch all these units coming out, and then that's a decent fight. But with them all ready with a concave and +1 and all their upgrades, that's not gonna work.
Like I said, he'll pass on the body pillow. Dude, you don't even know. I'm not even... I will make whatever pose you want on that pillow. You want spread eagle? You got spread eagle.
He wants you going to the toilet.
Oh.
Make the most, the grossest face you can think of. This is going to be a bit of a block attempt, maybe, for the Changeling?
I'll use your face then.
Ah!
Corsair Gear did pepper some of the units. They hit the edge of the Sentry, a couple of the Zealots, but as we can see, the force fields almost work against Monty in this situation, as his own Zealots are choked out going up that ramp. I think he knows this is the end, though. GG's, good lucks, and game 3 will go to Nerchio.
Well done.
All right, so we had a bit of a hiccup, I suppose, in the bottom side of the bracket. Cham had gone AFK for so long that he had gotten walked over, then came back as he was getting walked over, I guess. So now him and Loki are playing. So I don't know if we'll have him versus Neeb, but unfortunately the timing for that may pass. I don't know. See if any of these other matches are ready to go. Sort of versus Braddock. Is that started? I think some of these, yeah, a lot of these games are already underway. So we might actually end up just getting Neeb versus the winner because that might be the only match available. Some of these guys starting to advance into that round of 8.
Oh dang.
Nerchio says no carriers, no win, LOL. Feels Protoss, man. But, all right, I guess we'll take this to a commercial break while we review the brackets and see what matches look most available coming up soon. I will say, by the way, we got Fear, the little prodigy down on the bottom side, looking not bad. He's playing against Healer. Curious to see how far he'll get today. But small break, and we'll see you guys soon.